Hey, it's the Fort with Playboy, and welcome to the inaugural launch of the morning show. Bunny and I were talking, and we said, "Hey, we need to be able to reach out to more people." We've been doing a weekly show. Quite often, she and I would have a team show that we would do on either Thursdays or Sundays, and we've decided to stay with the Thursdays with both of us, but there needs to be more of a daily interaction that we can work together, and you and I can kind of flesh out everything that we have on the timeline, because like we've said with our stuff, we don't really do much of the debate. We're not much into the politics. But when you come to our timeline, we want you to be able to get into game, pickup, relationships, and sex, things that you can actually apply, if not that day, within minutes, and improve your game, your relationships, your pickup, and your sex life. And I let Bunny take care of almost all the sex stuff, because for some reason I always kind of thought most guys don't want to hear about sex from other dudes, and I was actually pretty accurate on my theory from what I had discovered over time, because I'd see other guys in my area in our little world talking about sex. I'm like, you know what? This feels really weird, and there's just something off about it. So I let her take care of almost all the stuff, like with her excellent series like Fuck Like a Porn Star and How to Squirt and all the good stuff that she puts out there in the Women's Guide to Orgasm. I mean, there's nothing she doesn't cover as an expert and help you on the ground get it applied into your life. But what we wanted to do was more of a one-on-one. We saw guys doing the short broadcasts, and it just helps us to reach out to you and get you more involved, find out exactly what's at top of mind. And also, there's only so much you can do on Twitter with so many characters and through writing, and even with stagnant video where you kind of explain things. But this gives us a chance to do more interaction on the timeline. And also, you can ask questions and we can answer that. And all this is something that we want to implement. That way we can have more reach and give you guys more personalized advice that actually applies to you as an individual. You can put into your daily life. So there's going to be some technical glitches. It's going to be kind of slow. It's going to be kind of ugly in the beginning, and then we'll tighten this thing up as we go along, because my goal today was simply to get on the timeline, go through things, kind of familiarize myself with some of the technology, and also reach out and give you some good hard information that you can apply to your daily life. And Philosopher Stoned at 6:57 a.m. is the first person to ever comment in here. He's in here, and we appreciate. And I'll do my best. I can't guarantee it, especially today, if I can get to your questions, but I'll do my best to kind of move around. I'd like it to look as seamless and professional as possible. And let's see if I can get this thing to share my screen. There we go. You should be able to see my timeline on Twitter. And we always start almost every opportunity, every broadcast with a maxim from Chateau Artiste, because that's where this entire Twitter line, my books, everything started, was me stumbling on Chateau Artiste and realizing that this guy was writing some uncomfortable truths that actually applied to game. In maxim number 26 is, women secretly hope that you won't rob them of the opportunity to make themselves vulnerable before your alpha inscrutability. And this is probably not one of the smoothest maxims, but what he's saying is that don't give it away. women want to earn your love and they want to earn your attraction. So that's one of the reasons, that's one of the hardcore reasons why they don't like nice guys. Guys that give it up too easy and that just start fawning all over. And like you kind of see on social media, which is you find repulsive, is where guys are like, oh, you're so beautiful and oh, that's great, and you're so hot, all for a picture. And the girls eat it up because they thrive on attention. That's their means of value. But when you give up your value, girls lower your value in their mind. And that's why we kind of say from the very beginning, be discerning, no compliments, and that small things, especially on like the first date or when you're texting, is to kind of leave it open, leave yourself more of a mystery. And that's why we kind of give the texting tips that we do, where there's no punctuation, there's no capitalization, no emojis being basically emotion. You want her wondering what you think of her. Because when guys just give it up, there's nothing really for the girl to work for. And it kind of also, in a way, it raises your value when you don't give it away, because it means that you have options. And whether those options are real or not is irrelevant. If she thinks, her perception is that you're fucking 2 or 3 other girls and she doesn't know for sure, that raises your value. Again, it doesn't have to be actual. You don't actually have to be fucking these other girls, but her perception is that you have options, and that's what you want to convey. And you convey it subtly and unconscious, effusive with her. And again, when you meet up, I always tell guys, less smiling, less words, don't fidget, set up, don't lean in, all kinds of things all come together to convey to her that you have options, you're kind of picky, and, she can put her best foot forward, and then you decide what you like after that. And again, girls are not used to this. They're so used to guys falling all over themselves. It's just the change. And there'll be a little bit of hesitancy in the beginning because she's not used to it. She's like, what the fuck? She's used to guys falling all over themselves and kind of like giving it away. And when you don't, especially today, there's going to be a little bit of lag time. So you have to be patient, and you kind of have to let that space, kind of like that there's going to be some silence there because she's not sure what she's dealing with. And then she'll go, oh, this guy has options. Very rare, and raises your value almost immediately. Again, these are things that you can put into play today. And we're going to go up through the timeline. Again, maximum number 26, women secretly hope that you won't rob them of the opportunity to make themselves vulnerable before your alpha inscrutability. Good deal. What was the next thing? So many travel jobs are built around average pay, but lots of anonymous sex. Like girls being flight attendants. For men, it's traveling salesmen. Most business travel for men is much more of an opportunity to get away from the family and the daily grind and be able to actually focus in on their business and on hanging with their buddies and anonymous sex than it is pure business. I've always had my suspicions, because owning my own business, anytime I traveled for business, it's coming out of my pocket. But most guys are riding on the company dime, and everybody else is paying for them to be somewhere else. And like Bunny always kind of says to me, I said, why is business travel so important? Because so much of it can be done, by Zoom, especially now post-COVID. And she explained it that it kind of also conveys a sense of importance, that they're so valuable that they have to be there in person. And you and I know that most of the time it's not. And most of the time business travel is being able to have like $200 lunches and $500 dinners and drinking every night. And the wife is home with the kids doing the grind. But it's absolutely imperative, because he wouldn't be able to get anything done when he's home because she wants him to coach Pee Wee baseball. And that's the fact. That's one of the reasons that business travel exists, is so he can actually get things done. You know, you can do a lot more when there's no one pulling at you and you wake up in a hotel room in Minneapolis at 5 a.m. and you can get to work. That's not going to happen when there's other people pulling at you every day. But for so many people, travel jobs are built around getting away and being able to fuck around, and basically run around like you're single, even if you do have some commitments. Again, girls will pick up these jobs, like somebody did point out, like travel bloggers. I'm like, that does make sense. Working on a cruise ship, all of this is like hardcore travel, and girls gravitate. And the adventure means lots of being able to hook up. Nobody knows your history. It gives you a chance to kind of like run around without the body. You know, anything outside the country doesn't count. So there's all kinds of benefits to a girl to take a mediocre job like a flight attendant. And the biggest, most popular, number one right now, from what I understand and what I've seen, is travel nurses. It's decent pay, and they are never more than 6 months in one place, and there's a little bit of status to it, and they're basically anonymous wherever they land, and they can stay that way for 6 months, and then they're off to the new city. So always kind of keep your radar up. I mean, know where they're coming from. If you do meet up, if you're single and you're on the market, you know, these girls are going to have a lot of numbers, no matter what. It's just, I've never met like a travel nurse married. You know, they're almost always single, and that's just part of the gig. It would be a fringe benefit. What else do we have? So, signs she's had lots of cocks. It seemed to be having a theme here. When you're talking to a girl, you're also looking for the subtle. You're discerning what you're dealing with through subcommunication. You know, she's not just going to come out and go, God, I fucked like 100 men. You're going to have to kind of like count up the men as she's telling you her history. And again, it's how you discern, because going direct is not sexy, and it's not fun, and it's not part of game. Game a little bit is teasing out the information from her so you can better know how to deal with her. You know, some girls that are experienced and know you're a player, know you're the right guy for them in that situation. So a lot of times it actually plays to your advantage being experienced. But again, signs she's had lots of cocks, lots of college. College is 4 years of getting crazy. There's a small subset of girls that are going for the MRS degree. They want to be married, if not in college, immediately after. These girls aren't going to be fucking around a whole lot, because they know that as their cock count goes up, their value goes down. So they might have had like one boyfriend in high school, and then they get to college and they're like, I need a dude with a future, and lock him down. And that's their goal. So there's not going to be a lot of party, and you're not going to, and if you're kind of a player, you're not going to be on her radar anyway. They're going to give you like 10 seconds of hey and bye, because they know what they're looking at, and you're not going to fit their role, which is a guy that they can like lock down fast. But in the college years, I mean, there's not going to be any place. You will never spend 4 years ever again in any one place with as many single, slim, unattached, open to experimentation and open to suggestion girls in one place, and with nobody's looking for you. So even as much as you think corporate life would be even better, it's not, because people are kind of desperate, and girls are already kind of on their bullshit of, you know, looking for, you know, either a career or a husband. And so that 4 years in college is probably your best 4 years of just laying a lot of pipe, and the girls are just running around. Travel anytime, again, and we know this if you've been on my timeline for any time, travel is number one for girls being able to have lots of anonymous sex with guys that don't talk, and then come back and their number starts out exactly where they left it. You know, it's a chance, because girls want to do things without the risk of being slut shamed. So therefore, anytime they travel and nobody's looking over their shoulder and they can do things without anybody knowing, even better. And it's always under the code word of adventure. They want to have adventure. Business travel, it's the same thing. Girls that travel a lot for business, no matter what, they're going to be around a bunch of alpha guys. Generally, they'll deny this, but you can ignore that. But guys that are kind of hard chargers will be traveling too. And so you're going to deal with the same thing. No matter what they say, the reasons for travel is anytime they're away from home, they have more anonymity, and therefore they're going to be a little bit looser. Major city to small town. It's kind of like I've talked to girls from small towns, and they have to be more self-conscious of their reputation because everybody's watching them. And in a major city, again, anonymity. No one knows them. A girl, a decent looking, a 5 or a 6 in a medium to major city with an app can go out with somebody different every night of the week. And they do. And it doesn't mean that they don't sleep with them also. So again, they're not just going out for a meal, they're going out for fun. So any time you're dealing with major city versus small town, and a small town girl can rack up some numbers too, but generally you'll have more opportunity, and girls that want to have a little bit more adventure do go to the city. And a lot of girls that come out of the small town, they know they don't want to stay there, so they move to the major cities for more adventure. Any male-dominated industry is going to make you more masculine. Again, I always say lawyers are the worst because there's nothing more. Basically, it's an adversarial atmosphere. You have to be competitive, aggressive, all the things you don't want in a girl. They have to channel in order to be good attorneys. Even if it is just pushing paperwork, their persona has to become more of I've got to win this thing. So it tends to masculinize women. I've met a very small handful of women that could actually balance it. We even, like Bunny and I, know a judge who is very feminine, and she's a mom, and you would never know she's an attorney and has been a judge, and just by her demeanor, but it's there. She has to be able to turn that on. But generally, running around out and about, you'd never know. But most of the time, it makes women very masculine. Military, and I was in the military and had a chance to talk to a lot of girls that came into the military over time. And I did notice over time that, they're showing up with a problem. Girls that join the military, that enlist, not necessarily officers, but those girls that enlist in the military, I never met one that wasn't running from somebody. They were running from a stepdad, a dad, an uncle, abusive boyfriend, a horrible husband, a bad situation. They're always joining to escape some man. It was never like poverty or, a bad situation. It was always running from some dude. And in the military, again, your average 3 or 4, because there's no women or fewer women than normal, they start looking better and better. And this is normal, especially as soon as you go into basic training, these girls that look horrible on day one, by the time you graduate, they look great because you've been so deprived. So again, the military, if they have a military background, and again, it's a very masculinizing environment. You're going to have some history there, and it's almost always bad. It just always, I've never seen a girl enlist and then just have a very rare, great career and everything goes well. There's always, I'm always waiting when I talk to somebody that's been in the military and they go, it was going great the first 6 years. And then, I got sexually assaulted. It's almost inevitable that it comes up like that because of the environment. So just know. And bartenders, again, anytime you mix alcohol is sex fuel. So they're going to have a history. Flight attendants, again, there you go. You've got alcohol, you've got travel, and you've got pretty girls and guys flying in first class on business. So there's all, and hotels. I mean, and then there's pilots. So there's all kinds of opportunity to get into trouble and pump those numbers. Singles past the early 20s. Most girls, and I've kind of been coming to this conclusion over time, that our quality aren't going to make it past 25 without being locked down. There's so many guys out there looking for a quality girl. It's very rare that they're going to make it past 25 unless they're after their career. They make one bad decision, like the guy just doesn't want to get married. But again, guys, they might pick a good girl that's like 23. They don't want to get married till they're 35, but they don't know that. A lot of guys are just kind of like going through life. Just, they'll be with a girl and they're like happy. They're having regular sex and she's cool, but she's got this. She's like, I'm going to date this guy for 2 years. Then we're going to get engaged. We're going to be engaged for 1 year. Then we're going to get married. We'll be married for 1 year, kind of get to know each other and spend time together. Then we'll get a house. And then we're going to have a house for 2 years. We're going to make improvements. And then I'm going to get pregnant. Because it's always, the bottom line is, that's the girl blueprint. That's what girls do, 99% of them. And that's your blueprint, is boyfriend, engagement, wedding, house, babies. Because the last thing is babies, no matter what. So that's the blueprint. And if they're going past 25, they're not quite following the blueprint as well, or they have decided they want to do a little bit of a career. But the girls that want to follow the blueprint hardcore are going to have that MRS degree. They're going to get married early. They're going to start having those kids early. That's what you normally see. Again, there's anomalies, but it's probably not the girl that's in front of you. Multiple boyfriends and marriages. This is just part of it. I think usually by the time you're about 35, you don't even really, at least in general, this isn't, everybody has their own, the number of guys that she's been with as an adult, you just kind of like realize that it's part of the game. You're not going to meet it might not be a good idea to meet a virgin that's 25. And even Bunny and I have done an entire video on that, and then I asked guys what else that they saw. So let's see what we got here. If things are working for me. Works in finance. And that's probably a guy that's in banking. Again, in the finance world, they tend to, don't hold me to this, they tend to date within their own little world. Travel nurse, again, number one, in which I believe, is agreeable. And then high school teachers. See, I don't have any background in that. I don't know why that would be they would rack up the numbers. Foreign exchange student, maybe there's a lot of eyes on foreign exchange students. But again, guys tend to, again, this is a thing that I never knew about, like call centers. Call centers apparently are like hotbeds of, guys and girls hooking up. And I don't know if it's just a lot of freedom. It's a lot of stress. Everybody's thrown into a room together. You got a lot of guys that are hardcore salesmen, which you're going to get a lot more alpha traits that way. Stripper bottle girls. And I think kind of like when you're dealing with strippers, you're dealing with a pro. So it's assumed, it's not unknown that this girl, sells sex or her attention in exchange for money. So it's not quite the surprise that it would be if she was a third grade teacher, would catch you off guard that she's at 100 body count. This guy, I had to ask him about the FedEx and Amazon. He said everybody's away from their spouse and they think nothing of hooking up in the trucks, especially on the overnight shifts. So do with that what you will, because I had to ask him about that. Tattoos, extra piercings, belly button piercing, nose ring, all these things show an openness to risk taking. And at the end of the day, anytime you want to pump those numbers, again, stripper, experienced sales calls center rep. Again, it's I've seen one of the biggest call centers there is, and it was in a converted mall. And I was like, that is, and it's a lot of people in their 20s and early 30s. So, and it's a lot of people just making enough money. So, you kind of have to have some type of way to blow off steam. But it goes on. And check it out. It's on the timeline. And we'll do one more. Banging coworkers. Man, I'm on a tear here. Some professional environments are just more conducive to coworker hookups. Any biz with a lot of entry-level workers or traveler hotspots, think bars, restaurants, flight attendants, sales, some offices, telemarketing for some reason is a real fuck fest. Again, a lot of can I fuck my coworker comes down to rank and environment. If all the environment is going to be really the deciding factor, because again, like food and beverage, I've learned is, and I've never worked in food and beverage myself, but I heard from enough people over time, again, bartenders, wait staff, restaurant management, and it's a lot of guys that stay in like restaurant management simply for access to girls that are like 23. They literally, it's one of the fringe benefits that keeps them in this business. And it's a very hard business, horrible hours, lots of stress, no way to predict your future. And I don't even think there's a real career path there. It's really, you're like a migrant worker, but at a higher pay rate. But food and beverage is notorious for the fringe benefit of being able to sleep with the staff. And it's just something that happens. It happens at every level. You can see politicians getting busted for sleeping with their campaign manager, or even, like a girl that works the phones. But anytime you mix that up, it really comes down. Is it approved of? No. But again, you have to decide on the environment. It's kind of like the gym. We say in the gym business, there's no HR. But guys do get in trouble. This is where guys get in trouble in the gym business, is you have a gym owner who's in his 40s or 50s banging the 18-year-old girl working the front desk. And he's married. That I've seen more guys lose their business through that little scenario than any other type of they're messing around, because they always, you're going to deal with like strippers, you're going to deal with all kinds of girls in the gym business, and fitness girls even, especially nowadays. But that little trick right there of messing around with the front desk staff has caught more gym owners, and they end up losing half the gym in the divorce than anybody else. So your rank matters. Equal rank, you can probably get away with it. But again, your environment will dictate what you do, and if you can get away with it. But that is how I'm going to wrap up. And I want to make a suggestion, because I don't want to do this for free, and I want you to have a benefit too. I recommend, if you have never picked up The Best of Chateau Artiste, Volume 1, to do so. And the link's on my timeline, and I'll put the link in here. And The Best of Chateau is, when I was reading Chateau Artiste on the blog, I thought, someday this is going to be taken down. Something just kind of gave me an idea, and I started saving. And again, back in the day, even in the comment, the value was in the comment section so much. He'd write a blog post, and then people like Rollo would comment, and Roosh. And I don't know if Rollo even had a book out yet. And there were a couple forums, but I was a little late for the forums. But they had, really blown up. But Chateau was where these guys really exchanged ideas and of what was working, what was not working, and would comment on, you learn as much in the comments sometimes. But again, it was the who that was in the comments. It's guys that went on and became extremely, large influencers in the red pill and the game community. And that's why, if you ever hear me talk about Rollo being, in pickup, all this started as pickup and game. But again, the book is The Best of Chateau Artiste. I had saved every blog post because I knew something was coming down the line. There was no way that it would stay up forever. And it's really the Bible of game. And the books, the best of are really like the books of the Bible, John, Genesis. I mean, you go through there, and he wrote and he would explain things in stories so you can actually remember them and then apply that to your game, and it works. And the very best is in Chateau Artiste, #1. And so if you're interested in that, pick it up. You'll benefit from it. Your game will benefit from it, and girls in front of you will benefit from it. Everybody benefits. So I want to thank you guys for watching the very first stream of the Fort Worth Playboys morning show. We may even change the name. We'll just have to see how it goes. But again, pick up Chateau Artiste, the best of volume 1. And I appreciate you guys commenting, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you tomorrow.